All right. Let's just double check here. All right. All right. Hey, so good to be with you guys. All right. So let's rock and roll. So look, one of the number one ingredients for success in our lives is this, that we are in the communication business. I can remember years ago, John Syatt saying that, and he said it in front of a group of about 300 agents. And he said, we are in the communication business. And I remember when I heard that, it rang so true. It became so evident to me that that's the business that we are in. So here's the question that I want to ask each of you. How good of a communicator are you? If we are in the communication business, would you pride yourself? Do you believe within yourself that you are an extraordinary communicator? You know, I was thinking about that. I was flying out to California. I'm here in our California operations this week. And as I was sitting here in the hotel room, I was thinking, you know, what's the one thing that is the difference maker to all great leadership? Now, look, you can see this, whether it be politically, whether you see it religiously, whether you see it in a business setting, or you see the lack of communication in all of those areas. Now take it even more closer to home. How about you take it to your home front? How good of a communicator are you? How well do you resolve conflict? How good are you at the resolve of challenges, problems? How good are you in regards to conveying your message? How often are people confused by what you have to say? How about this? How persuasive are you? How convincing are you? How certain are you? How uncertain are you? All of these factors, and we're going to get into some of the meat in this, in the relationship to communication, is that if communication is what our business is about, how good are we? See, the challenge in our business right now is that we see a tremendous amount of volume happening, right? We have a tremendous amount of activity in the business of real estate. And yes, you got to strike, in so many words, when the iron is hot, right? You've got to make sure that you're going after it. But what's really interesting to me and to observe is that even in the good times or the bad times, we somehow forget that we're in the communication business. We will say we're in the sales business, but what does that really mean? It means we're communicating. We say that we're in the real estate business. Well, what does that really mean? Does that mean we're into brick and mortar? Does that mean we're into marketing? Does that mean but what is marketing, right? It's the ability to convey a message, to communicate a message. Now, look, I am the first to say this is not about, oh, hey, George, you must do this perfectly. No, I'm not saying that I do. I'm not saying that I am a perfect communicator. I can tell you that after 27 years of marriage, I'm certain that I am not the greatest communicator. I can ask any one of my children, and I don't know if they would say I'm a great communicator. I know that I could ask some people I've been in business with, and would they think I'm a great communicator? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe I'm really good on a stage. Maybe I'm really good in this moment. But how good am I at really resolving conflict, challenge, difficulty? How well do I convey empathy? And how good am I at the message of passion and energy that needs to be brought at times? How good am I when there needs to be a moment of sensitivity, a moment of calm, moment when people really need to be heard? You know, that's a determination for each one of us, but to get better every single day. All right, remember, growth is happiness. So each one of us needs to continue to grow. Each one of us needs to continue to build. Each one of us needs to continue to develop to a higher level, to a higher ability of success. And my observation is that for each one of us, once we make the absolute decision that we recognize that we are in the communication business, that all of a sudden sales, scripts, dialogues, mantras, answers to the questions, or the way in which we present all become very, very different. And they become very, very more connecting, meaning we get more excited about sharing what we have, sharing what we're about, sharing our message, because we become better at communication. See, it's all cloaked by you need to be great at presenting. You need to be a great prospector. You need to have great closes. You need to have great objection handlers. You need to be great in your lead follow-up. Well, yeah, you need to be great at all those things. But what are we really saying? We're saying one thing. We're saying it is our ability to communicate. So with that being said, I have written down here a few things about communication. I have a few things I want to share with you that I think will be very meaningful as you move through the communication process. I want to give you really what I consider to be some raw, core, foundational principles of communication. And I think that as you hear these, I hope this will be something you'll come back to. I hope that it's something that you'll listen to. Right? Fundamentally, we can always talk about where we're going. We can talk about the visions of our life. We can talk about creating a life by design. We can talk about the fact that you need to prospect. You need to communicate. You need to bring your leadership out. And yes, each one of us, depending on where we're coming from, are concerned about our freedoms, concerned about the politics that are going on, concerned about the health of our family, our neighbors, our community. We're concerned about, right, the economics and the impact that everything's having in regards to the economics. And of course, as you move through all of those different things, each one of us has a different hierarchy. And that really, right, is important when we speak to communication, when you speak to clientele, when you speak to individuals. How are you moving through that, right? You see some people who are so charged to have their freedoms either taken away, and there's people who say, oh, that's ridiculous. Our health is more important. You know what? Each person's very different in this scenario. Some people are charged by their health, and all that matters is I got to be safe and I got to be taken care of. And you know what? That's okay. And on the other side, there's people who are absolutely just, man, don't take away my freedom. Don't tell me what I'm supposed to be doing. And you know what? That's okay too. Because the fact is that we're each coming from different space, different walks of life, different injuries, different challenges, different moments, different importances to each of our lives. And so look, the first thing I want to talk about, why I'm bringing this up, the very first thing that I thought about today is there could not be a greater time, a more important time for one word: empathy. The ability to experience, to feel what others are feeling to the best of your ability, to understand what they're going through, to feel what they're going through, to think that you have an idea of what they're going through. And here's the deal. You will try as hard as you can to try to understand what they're going through. You will try so hard to come to a deep understanding, sincerely, openly, kindly, patiently trying to understand. And guess what? You still never ultimately will. So, two things to empathy that I want to share with you that I think have found in my life have been very, very important in the communication process. Number one is this, and there's just simply a statement. It's a statement because it is so true. Whether it's someone who wants to sell on their own, whether it's a family member going through a difficult time, maybe it's a decision that you don't necessarily agree with, whatever it may be. And remember, empathy is about acceptance. It's about trying to understand. So remember, I don't have to agree with you to accept you. Now, a better word for that would be, can I love you? Can I love you despite whether I may disagree with you? The answer is yes. See, I'll get to these points, but the great challenge of today is that there are people out there who say, I don't believe what you believe, therefore, and they may say, they may not say it this way, but you know. And if this is you, I want you to really think about this, because it's a slippery slope. If someone doesn't believe what you believe, think the way you think, do what you do, we then human nature is, we hate them. In history, not only do we hate them, but we will destroy them off the face of the earth. And we will even use the word that God said it was okay to strike you down and to kill you and to eliminate your existence on this earth. And you got to think about that for a moment. Think about that. Think about the fact that if you don't believe what someone believes, think what they think, right? Feel what they feel, like what they're doing. I hate them. Now, I know there's lots of people listening that are going, well, no, that's not me. You know what? Awesome. But I want you to take it even more simply. Your son, your daughter does something that you don't think they should do. What does it do? Are you able to continue to love them? In most cases, yes. But what about a friend? A friend does something that you don't like. Can you still love them? Can you still care for them? Can you still accept them despite your disagreement with them? It is an incredible skill set, and what a gift if you're capable of doing that. Because the problem with today, ultimately, I would tell you, is the lack of curiosity and far more judgment, the lack of hatred, or the increase of hatred, violence, based on the fact that people think, feel, act differently. We have to be so careful. So when we talk about this principle of empathy in business, in its most simple form, it's this: if I were you, here's the statement I was going to make earlier. Here we go. If I were you, I'd feel the same way too. Now we can make light of that. We've had some good times with that where we kid about that, but it's the truth. If I were you, I'd feel the same way too. Now you say, well, George, what do you mean you'd feel the same way too if you were them? Yeah, if I was them, that's what I would do. If I was them, that's how I would feel. If I were them, that's what I would believe. If I were them. So let's just take your son, your daughter, your teenager, or a close friend of something you don't agree with. In this most simple of terms, if I were you, I'd do the same thing too. Yeah, maybe they did something dumb. Or if I were you, I'd feel the same way. If I were you, I'd think the same thing. They say, George, what is this all about? Because the world needs acceptance, not tolerance. It needs acceptance. And that's a word that really cloaks the one thing that's needed in this world. And for your family, for your loved ones, for your best friends, for your associates at work, you need more love. Love. So can you accept someone if you don't agree with them? The answer is you can. I mean, this is fundamentally one of the most important principles of communication. That all of a sudden someone disagrees with you. Someone doesn't align with you. They don't believe the same things you believe religiously, spiritually. They don't believe the same things you think that you should be on a political side. And all of a sudden, and even in a business setting, like they're going to sell their home on their own. Well, I know you don't believe that that's a good thing to do. Or they expire their home and they don't list it. Or they list with another agent and they decide not to list with you. How do you handle that? Can you handle it? Can you say those most simple of words? If I were you, I'd do the same thing too. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Man, these are difficult moments. If I were you, I'd feel the same way too. Gosh, you know what? I don't really like real estate agents either. You know, if I were you, I'd feel the same way too. Or maybe say, but wait, George, why are you going through this like this? Why is this so important? Because I'm telling you, you want to reduce the resistance in a relationship. You want to reduce the challenges of a relationship. You want to reduce the contention of a relationship. You want to have a deeper, fulfilling, more loving relationship with any human being. Accept them. And it will then reduce all of the resistance and it will just go, it'll be gone. Because they feel heard. They feel understood. They feel accepted. They feel loved. Feel loved. And look, in the family unit, in the friendship units, and in the work units, it's all the same. If I were you, I'd feel the same way too. Are you capable of accepting people without agreeing with them? I know you are. So be very careful because like I said, it's a slippery slope. All of a sudden, someone believes what you don't believe. I hate them. Someone believes or does something you don't like. I don't like them. Really? That is a cancer to your soul to simply not accept and to not love every single human being. Every person is to be loved. Remember, you can hate behaviors. You can hate a thought. You can hate lots of things, but don't hate the person. I'm telling you, you want to fill your soul with light, with love, and with joy. Fill it with that love that is so necessary in this world today. Now, I said 2 points on empathy. We're going to run out of time so fast. Holy cow. All right, here we go. So first one was if I were you, I'd feel the same way too. All right, that first principle. The other one is really what I consider to be a critical component to the way in which we operate in our business every single day. And so often when we say, hey, if I were you, I'd feel the same way too. The second component component is the way in which we ask questions. Once we hear something that we don't like, that we don't understand, that we don't approve of, that we don't think is good, whatever it may be, we have to come up with powerful questions. So to be great in our ability to show empathy for another human being, they do something you don't approve of. Maybe it's your kid, maybe it's your son, your daughter, and they're going down the path of, maybe they decide I'm not going to college. Maybe they decide I'm not going to school. Maybe they get bad grades. Maybe they do something really dumb, and you know it's dumb. I mean, you know it's dumb. Like, you totally approve, you totally get it. It's dumb. If I were you, you know what, son? I'd feel the same way too. If I were you, probably would have done the same thing. And you say, why would you do that? Because we're trying to reduce all resistance to open up a dialogue. We have to open up a dialogue of conversation. If we want to open up a dialogue of conversation, well, we can't tell them, what are you thinking? How stupid was that? You shouldn't have done that. What are you thinking? How could you do that? Or take it to the business level. For sale by owner, says we're going to sell on our own. What's your first question? What's your first response? Is it, man, if I were you, probably do the same thing too? Or is it, well, let me share with you why that's so wrong. You shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that. And let me share with you why you shouldn't list your home or sell your home on your own. Are you going to get a lot of open dialogue? Think of the people that you love the most and that you're most appreciative of. And the people you love to communicate with, they're always the people who are the least judgmental. They're the people who are the most accepting. They're the people that no matter what you're doing, no matter what mistakes you make, you feel their love. They might even shake their head at you just a little bit. They might have a little smirk on their face going, oh boy, what are you doing? But you feel their love and their acceptance. Can you love and accept another human being in business, in your family, your friendships, you name it, despite whether you agree with them? And what we're trying to do is we're trying to open up the possibilities of a better communication. Remember, we are in the communication business. So if we're in the communication business, well, if that's the case, well, how do we become better communicators? Well, first of all, we accept people for all of their inadequacies, for all of their mistakes, for all of the dumb things they do, for all of the silly things they shouldn't have done. We accept them. We love them despite the behavior. Number two, we now open up an ability to have a dialogue, to be able to ask questions. See, what makes Oprah Winfrey, in my opinion, what made Barbara Walters, or what makes Barbara Walters, what made Walter Cronkite, for some of you old guys and gals out there, right? What made, all of these great people, from the Phil Donahues to the Oprah Winfreys to now on TV, right? You got the Dr. Phils. What makes them great? Their ability to ask questions. They're paid hundreds, if not millions of dollars a year to ask questions, to accept people, and then to open up a dialogue to simply ask questions. That's the beauty of communication. Let me know you love me. Let me know you accept me. Okay, I'll tell you anything you want to know. When you think about that, a young person in your life, a friend, a family member, a spouse, your lover, your girlfriend, boyfriend, your partner, someone in business, they undeniably know you love them and accept them. They don't feel your judgment. They don't feel your lack of acceptance. They don't feel your disagreement. They don't feel your huffing and puffing, your, oh, gosh, what are you doing? They don't hear you sigh in disappointment, either in their own mind or you actually do it. They feel your love and your acceptance. Now, will they open up and will they answer your questions? Guaranteed. So think about this. If I were you, I'd feel the same way too. Now, the next thing. And they may say, oh yeah, this has been really rough. We took the home off the market and now we're just going to try to sell it on our own. You know what? If I were you, I'd feel the same way too. I don't blame you one bit. This is a pretty frustrating process. Now, do you think at that moment they feel, or would it be, oh, maybe this is what a lot of agents are doing, right? Oh, you're taking the home off the, you had it on the market. Oh, you're now going to sell on your own. Well, look, let me share with you why that's not a good idea. Or you might even get more combative and say, well, share with me, why would you do that? See, now when I ask why, immediately I'm asking to absolutely just challenge them. I'm making them wrong. I'm questioning their decision. I'm questioning what they're doing. I'm bringing a lack of acceptance to them. So look, if I want to elevate my communication, I've got to ask a better question. So I'm going to ask questions with 2 words at the front of them. How and what? How and what? How is that going to work for you? Share with me what's most important. What is important about selling on your own? What are you trying to accomplish? How will you do this? How will this make sense for you? How will you get this done? What must you do to sell your home? What must you do to get it on the market? How will you choose the next agent you choose? How will you choose an agent? What's important to you about the company you might choose? Now, you say, well, George, I thought they said they were going to sell on their own. And you said, yep, if I were you, I'd feel the same way too. If I were you, I don't blame you. I'd do the same thing too. And you say, well, wait, isn't that lying? No. If you were them, what would you do? Well, what they're doing is selling on their own. What they're doing is they're taking their home off the market. What they're doing is they're going to list or buy with another agent. So are you going to be combative or are you going to accept? You can be combative, but you know as well as I do, the moment you're combative, and teenagers are the best. Combat with a teenager, how open are they then? Combat with a teenager, how open are they then? Let me share with you why you're so dumb and stupid as a teenager and why what you're doing doesn't work. Now you want to say, now let's talk about it. Do you think they're going to talk to you? Do you think they're going to have a communication with you? Do you think they're going to actually have a dialogue with you? No way. It'll be, no, yes, no. Well, share with me. It was good. It was fine. They will talk to you about none of it. They will just simply hope that the deal is done. The conversation is done. Look, been there, done it, got the t-shirts. I got 5 kids to show that when I'm on that path and I'm communicating that way, it is not good, right? I don't care whether it's my beautiful daughter, Mackenzie, or my sons, Ethan, Isaac, Bella, or Bella, my daughter, or McAshley. It does not matter. If I go down that path, and look, I am the first to admit many times in my life, I'm like, let me show you how dumb you are. Let me show you how dumb that mistake was. But when I accept, and if I were you, I'd feel the same way too. Let me ask you this. Share with me what's important about what you're doing right now. Hey, share with me, how are you going to achieve what you want to accomplish in baseball if I'm talking to a son or a daughter? Hey, share with me, you mentioned you wanted to do this with your sports. How are you going to do that? How's that going to work for you? What do you think you should be doing? How do you think you're going to achieve that? What do you think your workouts need to be? What do you think your schoolwork needs to be? What's important to you about getting good grades? You can pound, you can drill, you can hammer down on good grades. The fact is that all of a sudden, once you get a connection with a better question and they're opening up, I can promise you they're going to get better grades. I promise you, it's how it works. So how will you use this today in your business? We're just about out of time. Just looking here. We got about 5 minutes left. But I want to ask that, how are you going to use this communication skill set in your business? How are you going to use the ability to communicate empathy to get a higher level of acceptance and a higher level of openness and dialogue? Think about that. Wow. Like, how cool would that be? You get on a phone and you are able to get massive acceptance of any human being that gets on it with you. And you're able to converse and have a great dialogue because of the openness of the conversation. How cool would that be? Whether you're calling it just listed or just sold, whether you're calling your sphere of influence, whether you're calling an internet lead, whether you're calling it for sale by owner, whether you're calling an expired listing, whether you're calling your past clients, how cool would it be? I want you to think about that for a moment. Just think, how cool would it be to have complete acceptance and love in that conversation, and then complete openness in the dialogue? Wow. What would your appointment setting be? What would your conversion ratios be? What would your success be? And then let alone, how much more fun would it be? How much more fun would it be to have conversations that are completely accepting and conversations that are completely open in dialogue? So you accept and then you open the dialogue. You accept, you open the dialogue. That's a fun place. That's when you get excited to get on a phone. You get excited to knock on a door. You get excited to pick up that telephone that you're supposed to be on because you know you're going to have a great dialogue. You know you're going to have a lot of fun. You know you're going to have great communication. You know you're going to have a beautiful conversation that's elevating. Again, I'm telling you, the key to life, the key to a successful life, the key to a great marriage, the key to your best friends, the key to your children, the key to your to your work, the key to your associates at work, the key to the agents, the key to your clients, the key to your friends, it's communication. So here's the great challenge. Don't be this person. Don't be this person today. Don't be that person who is saying, well, yeah, I'm a great communicator, but they're not. Really? I'm going to bet you that's maybe 1 out of 1,000 that's probably right. I'm going to bet that the reflection of your experience in communication has so much to do with who you're being in that communication process. What I communicate out, what I put out to the world is going to reflect right back to me in this world. Comes right back around. It is the boomerang effect. Boom, I put out bad communication. Guess what I get back? Bad or poor communication back. That is the nature of the beast. So we've got to make a declaration today, gang. We have got to say, you know what? Today is a day that I am going to be a great communicator. Today is a day that I'm going to figure it out. See, the thing I've noticed is that those who are great communicators are the ones who make the great amounts of money. Those who have mastered scripts, dialogues, who can predict outcomes in relationship to their conversations. Those are the ones who make the big bucks. Those are the ones who successfully win this game. The problem is that we have conversations that have massive amounts of resistance. We have massive amounts of intolerance and unacceptance. And the challenge is that then we expect, well, why isn't this working for me? It's not working for you because you're not accepting people. It's not working for you because you're worried about your agenda being the one that is heard. It's not working for you because you're not coming from a place of just pure curiosity. You're coming from a place of not only judgment, but let me vocalize my opinion because my opinion's right. You say, well, sometimes it is. Well, it might be. I mean, I believe that a home should be sold with an agent. I don't think it should be sold with a discount broker or for sell by owner. I don't think that. I know that. But does it serve me and serve the relationship when they say, I'm going to sell on my own? I'm going to try this on my own. Oh, it's a white hot market. I'm going to do this by myself. I know I could sell it. And first things out of your mouth are, well, why would you do that? I mean, don't you know? There's lots of lawsuits. You could put yourself at risk. And, people are going to come into your home. And how are you going to negotiate it? Well, how are you going to market it? You're going to lose money. Let me tell you all the reasons why you're wrong. Is that really what people want to hear? Why, again, do you go to the people who accept you the most, who have no judgment, and those are the people that you just open your whole life to? You have that friend, you'll tell them anything. There's nothing that you won't share, nothing you won't tell them, nothing you won't communicate to them because they're not judging you, they're not making you wrong, they're not telling you how dumb you are, they're not like, you don't feel the energy from them of how dumb they think you are. You don't feel any of it. So what do? You open your heart, you open your mind, you open your voice, and you share everything. So if you can do this in the sales process, I am telling you, you are destined for absolute greatness in this business. If you can allow people to feel your love and your acceptance, not necessarily your agreement. Remember, can I love them although I don't agree with them? Can I accept them even if I don't agree with them? Guys, come on. This is the time to do this in today's world. If I don't agree with you politically, can I still accept you and love you? Some people, and I know some of you are like, well, no, yes. Gosh, come on. The good book says the greatest commandment of all time Love God and love your neighbor, right? The two great commandments. It's pretty simple. Love, accept, not just tolerate. Love, accept them, not tolerate them. Not, well, fine, I'll put up with them. No, accept and love. And as you do, the thing that's so cool is that when you do that, they'll want to hear what your opinion is. They'll want your counsel. They'll want to know your understanding. They'll want to hear where you're coming from. They'll want to hear why you think that they shouldn't sell on their own. They'll want to know why they shouldn't be looking for a home on their own as an internet lead, surfing the net, why they should hire someone, because you accept them despite whether or not you agree with them or not. So again, if I were you, I'd feel the same way too. Now, once that happens, share with all the resistance is gone. Poof, gone. Now, share with me. Guys, I have to tell you, this is single-handedly the single most important skill set that I've ever learned, I believe, in regards to communication. And I know there's a lot of them, right? Leadership, as John Maxwell said, is nothing more, nothing less than our ability to influence another human being. I'm going to challenge you today. Challenge yourself to be a great communicator. Challenge yourself to accept and love others. And as you do so, challenge yourself to use the words what and how to expand the conversation, that hearts are open, minds are open, conversations are open because of who you showed up. And remember, if you're closed, if you're judgmental, if you're highly opinionated in any place in this country today, whether it be in business, politically, religiously, or just in your own family, you know you're setting yourself up for a very contentious moment. Gosh, today, man, to this week, don't bring contention to your life. Don't bring anger. Don't bring hatred. Don't bring darkness into your life. Live a life that is bright, that brings hope, brings light, brings joy, brings goodness to people's lives. That's what this is about. Bring acceptance and love so that an open dialogue, an open conversation can be there. And that's the beauty of it. All right, gang, have a great week. Let's use that communication to communication well. And let's make sure we have a great, great week. Man, call the people, talk to people. So desperate for your leadership. Go for it. You got it. All right.